Hey, roll of YouTube, how you doing out there? My name is Pat, and this video is, I don't know, I guess getting a little bit of a rant, a little bit of an open forum. It's probably going to upset some people, I'm fine with that. Nothing that doesn't upset anybody isn't worth a damn. So, um, basically, like, this is my deal, you know, I mean, obviously I'm a white, heterosexual male, and, like, my opinions aren't very valid in the whole realm of racism, sexism, or sexuality and all that stuff. And like, cause I mean, I do have the ace hand, and like I seem to get the trump card on all situations. But I've got a lot of opinions out there, and I'd like to share them. And you know, I think there's one thing that keeps crossing my mind over and over and over again. Like, I see somebody, and I think to myself, you know, if I was a woman, or if I was black, or if I were gay, I would be really pissed off about this. And it kind of bothers me that they aren't, you know. And like, you know, I mean, I don't like using the word minority because a woman's not a minority, obviously. I mean, actually, men are the minority, but if you want to be technical. But, you know, like, let's start with feminism. Feminism's a great starting point. I get really offended, right? Like, myself as a male, and I don't understand why women aren't more offended by this whole presentation of women as being a superior sex. And, like, okay, hear me out now. You might think to yourself, well, that's just, you know, the pendulum swinging and all that, but you know, I don't think that's the case. I think that like really women are the ones who are really getting hurt by this whole like propping up all women in movies and television, because I mean it's true. It's like every sitcom out there is like some dumbass like that has no business with being a beautiful angelic like woman who's brilliant and not and perfect and doesn't do any wrong. And like it's not just that, it's in movies, it's everywhere. And the reason why I think it really is hurting women, though, is because you know, you look back through the ages and earlier cinema and all that stuff, that there were like starlets, there were absolute starlets that owned the screen, and that they had a personality. But like these days, it's like it's just bouncing from one pretty face to the next, and these women have no longevity. And you know, maybe there's an exception or two there, like Meryl Streep. You know, she's lived into like a transverse from young attractive actress into Will Roldley, old Roldley actress, and that's usually not the case in Hollywood. It's like she almost had to make it as an attractive woman, and then she had to remake it as someone who's worldly and old, you know. And I don't think that's right. And I think the reason why this is happening is because like the woman's part in movies and television is so interchangeable. It's like a pretty face, and that's all it is. It's like you're gonna be a pretty girl, and we're gonna go ahead and give you a bunch of cheesecloth effect when you come on camera, so that like everybody in the audience knows that you're the love interest, and we'll make you more pretty than any other girl in the shot, or in the movie in general. And yeah, that's how everyone will know that you're the love interest. And then like they're just it's the same lines. It's like there's no articulation or depth to their characters, and they're always the same. And it's the flat like, oh well, you're smarter than the guy. You're you know, superior to the guy, and that's their personality. They don't have a personality, and that's the reason why I don't think actresses have any longevity. Is because like there's such a flat, like gray mass of nothing, and it's kind of lame. And you know, I can honestly count like female protagonists that I really enjoyed watching on like one hand. You know, like Kusanagi from Ghost in the Shell. I thought that was a brilliant protagonist, and yeah, it's a cartoon, so sue me, but it's still a brilliant protagonist and with a really deep character. Whatchamacallit? Ripley from Aliens. Like that is a really well-rounded part and role, and I thought that she had a lot of depth. You know, Sigourney Weaver's actually kind of hot in her own little way, like back in the day of Alien and stuff. And I don't know, maybe whatchamacallit, of course Meryl Streep. I said I really liked her character, and I mean, but it's my point is though it's very far and few, and it's if I were a woman, I'd be really pissed off about how and there's a condescending attitude in Hollywood, like, yes, you're special, uh-huh, yeah, now move out of the way, you're now old. And that's how it goes. But it's not just women, though. I mean, gays, too. Like, if I were a homosexual, I would be really offended about the way the gays are portrayed, you know? Like, it's almost like blind people are always musicians in movies, that gay people are always, like, insightful, and they're always, like, you know, outlandish and all that. Either that, or there's a comedy movie that crosses the line and like depicts them as flaming homosexuals. But that's neither here nor there. But like it seems like time and time again, it's like, oh, token gay person, token gay person. It's almost as bad as it was like with black people in the 90s. And that would be really offensive to me too. That like all these characters, their entire character is the fact that they're gay, and like that's kind of lame, man. Like sexuality is a preference of who you like to screw, and that's all it is. And if I were a homosexual, I'd be really offended about like the way that they're constantly being represented in Hollywood and movies and television. And finally, like black people, like oh man, like I see this a lot, and like if I were a black person, I would be really offended by things like say BET especially. Now here's a company, right, that's owned by Viacom. Viacom is essentially composed of white people, and it's white people telling black people like what to listen to, how to act, how to dress, and how to hold themselves, and everything, like, and makes this culture behind it, and the culture is completely negative. Like everything that's in black culture in America is all like something infantile, you know, like loose pants that don't fit, like an infant would wear, walk around holding your dick, like an infant would do, misspelling things, like an infant would do, like mispronouncing things, like using the word, using F, like for when you mean TH, so it's like, pho, we went to the pho store, or whatever, and just stupid, mind-numbingly stupid things like that, and it's all being produced by white people, and if I were a black person, I would be really offended by that, you know, and also, like, I just see some people who buy into this bullshit, and it's like, if I were a black person, I would see a lot of these people running around doing this stuff or whatever, and I would be ashamed of them as a black person, and, like, man, I think, though, that, like, we've come so far to just go ahead and repaint the picture and still give the same message, you know, and I think it's a damn shame, man. I mean, women are still paid less than men, there's still a glass ceiling, you know, and there absolutely is, and, you know, good on Barack, finally. You know, if you ever watch that movie, The Departed, there's this great speech about, like, the difference between black people and Irish people making it in America, and that, like, Jack Nicklaus is saying something about, like, you know, like, we've been in this country so long, and give us so long, we've already got a president there, and because JFK was the first Irish president, which, like, in your history books, they say, oh, it's because he was a Catholic. Like, no, it wasn't. The big deal about JFK was that he was Irish. It was a big deal. And believe it or not, there was a time in this country when being Irish was a very bad thing, and also being Scottish. And it's no longer an issue because we've adapted and we've overcome. And it's like, I really hope that Barack Obama is going to be that, like, bridge for black people, you know, and it'll be like a good stepping stone for them to come up out of this issues that they have, and that, like, and they are issues, and I don't mean to sound bad about it, but, like, you know, it's like if you're born poor and black, you seem to have worse opportunities, and I do think there's a lot of racism in politics, and I think that, like, black schools simply don't get as much funding as white schools, and it's not direct, right? But what they do is, like, they have rich white schools and they have poor black schools, and what happens is they both get the same funding, but the black school is going to buy more of this, you know, and they don't get textbooks and stuff. They get more, like, security and metal detectors and things like that because it's, like, in a poor, bad neighborhood, and then, like, whatchamacallit, like, they get school fundraisers. Well, who do you think is going to raise more money? The kid who lives, like, in housing complexes that are a gated community that costs, like, $500,000 per house? Or the kid living, like, in the slums, like, in an apartment or a project? Like, who do you think is going to get more fundraising from their little school fundraising? I mean, really, I don't think that's very right at all, you know, and I'm also sick and tired of the whole notion that, well, failing schools should get less money too, and that's just, I think a lot of the problems that come, like, from the black community in America come from the fact that they don't get an equal education, and I do think there's a lot of truth to that, and they do try to mix schools and desegregate them, but it doesn't really help, and it's not really doing the trick, you know, and I don't know what the answers are, man. I just know that there's, like, a lot of problems out there. And, I mean, yeah, white heterosexual male, I ain't got much room to talk, but that's basically how I feel, and that's what I think about these things. And I feel comfortable talking about them because I know how I feel in my heart, and if you think from what I'm saying that I'm a horrible person, so be it, because I still know who I am, you know, and I don't have to prove anything to anybody but myself. So that's basically it, and please leave your comments and, like, videos or whatever you want to do. Call me a racist fuckhead, I guess, because I don't know. Anyways, have a good day.